Question everything, for the truth shall not be televised. All right, so when you're playing this game of voting, when you think about the voting, you're always thinking about the presidency, and they always tell you to get out to vote for the presidency. But what about getting out and voting for the Senate and the Congress, congressional men and women, and the seats that sits at the Senate? Those two parties, as they would say, are the ones that pretty much represents the laws and the distribution of resources into the communities of our people, and supposed to represent the people to the fullest. Just those two parties. Those are the ones who sign off on bills that get sent to the president to be able to oversee and sign off or veto and all this other stuff. I'm not a appointed representative, so it is what it is. But when you look at these two different chambers, which is the Senate and Congress, those are the ones that, when it comes to your real issues and making change in your communities, you're supposed to actually be addressing 100% when it comes to trying to put people to represent you and your community into office in those areas. Those are the most powerful areas when it comes to we the people wanting change in our environment or our communities. But for me, I know it's just a game, because when you look at our communities as Aboriginal Negroes of America, they're the most worst off. And any government, any empire, they know the circumstances of their empire. They know the circumstances of their sectors within their control or their domain or their jurisdiction. So they know what's going on for the Aboriginal Negroes and how our community look and how they are being starved of resources. Even history of our history tell you that. And our history also tell you how we got in the position that we are in, and how it has been maintained through different violence and massacres and all sorts of stuff that we talk about here. The problem is, or the question is, how do we continue to trust government or an empire that openly has shown us repeatedly that it has contempt for us, that it has no real structural help coming for us in no form and fashion, other than the things that has been held and maintained to keep us in a destructive position? How do we continue to go through the processes and the procedures that they ask us to go through when, from the beginning of voting, from the beginning of these process, all we've been seeing was pretty much negligence on their part when it comes to any type of true funding or help or upliftment for our nation and our community coming from this system and this government? How do we continue to accept the tricks of that witchcraft word of belief that this system and their society of what they have created around us has anything when it comes to our best interests at heart? How do we continue to accept these type of thoughts that if we just play the game, that it can get better? When do we start to look at it as if none of this is getting better for our nation, and our people? I'm not talking about everybody else, because everybody else get way more than what we get when it comes to building up their community and building up their society and their nation. All we get is excuses. Even now, the Biden administration and the Democrats are trying to figure out how to get the so-called black votes, real Aboriginal Negro votes, as we speak. And they're not trying to give you resources for your community. They're not trying to give you tangibles to help your community and your nation out here under the United States government. But they're trying to get you to take part in their system of giving them authority and power to be able to continue to ignore and deny you any type of funding or any type of resources in your community. This is the reality to it. We know because we've been here long enough to understand that this game hasn't worked for us in the form of Republican or in the form of Democrat. Neither one opens an eye up to be able to move a finger or to be able to move a pencil or pen to help our people and our plight and our struggle here in America. All they show us is their backs and their AOs to pretty much kiss. Excuse me. And we should know this by now. And we should be able to accept it and want to deal with it for what it really is, without no more excuses or no more benefit of the doubt given to a system that openly says, the hell with you. Because this is where we're at here in America under the United States government and the nations that has come to crush us, as all of them being immigrants to our land, selling that we are the immigrants on our own land, selling that we are two different continents, while they all claim being American and claim our land for themselves, knowing that we all know all of them are immigrants here. We can actually prove that we have been here way longer than anybody that's on this soil, literally, by the colonizers' own ledgers and their own books and their own writings and their own decrees when they first got here. It took a little shifting and a little investigative research for ourselves. And now we see, just like John Ogilvy, Lee Petty, and George Jones, and many other white folks have documented that we are the original Americans. And these people go back to the 1800s or more. So with that, you know, I'm not a greater evil or a lesser evil type of person. I'm not into no evil. So I'm not voting for a greater evil or lesser evil. I stand strong against all evil that is against my people, that is crushing my people, that is putting harm's way within the way of my children growing up and being plentiful. This is just that reality. My grandbabies are important to me, even the ones that I haven't had seen or are on the planet yet. But I still think and plan for them for the future. And in this future, what we see of America, they don't have really nothing for us under the United States government and United States empire as a nation of people being Aboriginal Negroes to America on our own land. So it's daunting and very tricky to really think that if I or you continue this process of going in a circle, playing this game of voting and taking part in their system, that one day, under God, their God, that is going to get better for us. It hasn't, folks. It won't, folks. It's not set up to do so, folks. And it never will, folks. And once you accept that and understand that, then we as a people, as a nation of our own, can change our outcome and change the future of our people when we start to think and act on the truth of the matter. And that is, United States and United States government and their colonizers will never, ever do anything in our best interests, because they show forth and have a track record and a historical history of it. And until then, we ain't going to move as a people, nor are we going to ever get better, nor are we ever going to see our people be better. And that's just the true reality of what they will never, ever really